Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host today from Russia via Oakland. We have Ana Hoffman. Ana is a unique individual in the way that she repurposes her content to grow her business. And she teaches that. She practices what she preaches. Her business is growing with no paid traffic. And she gave an interesting little fact. I'm going to have to make you wait to hear. But the amount of new content she has made 8.5 months into the year will shock you. I was kind of, pleasantly surprised because I've been a big content guy. Although for the last year, I have made less new content and have been refreshing older stuff. My writing style has certainly changed over the last 9 years. What I know has changed, and doing a lot with technology, right? With Infusionsoft posts, with HubSpot posts, a little bit of Entreport. All of those platforms have changed and evolved. And, we talk about what's the benefit of having old posts versus updating an old post versus updating and republishing as new an old post. And I don't know if the answer is set in concrete, but it's certainly gotten me on a path of discovery, shall we say. I'm looking into this right now. But she gives very specific ideas on how you can repurpose content, how to share it, how to distribute it, how you should spend more time working on that, getting the word out in different mediums rather than just creating a ton of new content. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with what we discuss. I think you'll find this very actionable and profitable moving forward. I think you'll see your own traffic grow, your opt-ins grow, and if you've got a good offer, you should make more business as well as a result of what you learn in this episode. If you would like continuing support, a lifetime support with a 1-year money-back guarantee on that training and support, please go to makeeverysale.com now and enroll. If you would like to discuss it, go to thesaleswhisperer.com, hit the Contact Us page. When you opt in, you'll get an email and a chance to schedule a 15-minute call with me. We'll go over the program, the course, your current situation, your goals. I'll help you decide if that's the right platform for you. Sometimes people want to work one-on-one in an intensive area. So I've got a 90-day program, and in that 90-day program, it includes access to the Make Every Sale course. That may be a better option for you, but let's talk about it. All right. So again, you can go to thesaleswhisperer.com, contact us, and we will set a time to chat. Now let's bring on our guest. Ana Hoffman with the really cool haircut all the way from Oakland, California. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
Thank you. I'm doing much better now that I have a cool haircut. Sweet.
Do you still have the cafe in the back of the neck?
No, it's still shaved, but I didn't keep the, nobody wants to see the back of the head, as it turns out. So yeah, I do it on special occasions.
I don't know. I kind of like it. I got your Facebook profile over here. It's kind of cool.
It is totally cool when it's there. Trust me.
So that comes from Traffic Generation Cafe, I assume.
Absolutely. Coffee is the bloodline of me and my business, as it happens.
So you have a unique take on generating traffic, right? What piqued my interest was your repurposing. I got your PDF, been applying some of those principles, but for our listeners that may not be familiar with that, would you mind diving in? What is this repurposing all about?
It's about making the most of what we create. And I've come up with, content repurposing is not a new concept by any means. I have personally started repurposing my content about 3 years ago when I realized that content marketing is way oversaturated. It's like social media. When anything is fresh and new, it's exciting. People click on links and things happening, and everybody thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then, of course, a few months go by, a year or two, and then everybody's doing it. And all of a sudden, nobody's listening, and you're just, it's a bunch of noise. So content marketing has become that a long time ago because we've been told to blog. We have told others to blog. People blog without knowing why they're blogging. But the result is there's just too much stuff out there. So for a business owner who is producing content, because the truth is content still does work. It's only a matter of how do you get that content into the hands of people who actually want to read it, want to watch it, and want to act on it. So that's where content repurposing comes in. And the idea behind it is that no one learns the same way, right? For instance, I like to read. I have to see something written for me to learn, to kind of internalize it. Other people want to watch a video, and yet others like listening to podcasts. Lucky you, Wes.
There you go.
So there you go. So everybody consumes content different ways. So if you're a blogger, if your primary way of delivering content to your audience is writing something, you're missing out on a lot of potential prospects that don't want to come to your blog and read your blog post, right? And another thing is that, so a few years ago, and some people still say that our main website is your hub. That's where you want to publish everything, your best, your everything. Well, it might have been true at some point, but now people are too lazy to come to your website. Nobody knows you exist. They want to be on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Pinterest, on Medium, wherever it is that they are. They're too lazy to come to your website and consume that content. So you're absolutely missing out by not utilizing those huge, very high trafficked third-party platforms, the ones that I just mentioned, and gazillion more, where your ideal prospect is right now. Like right now, I'm saying this word right now, that's where she is. And you are not there. And your content is not there because it's sitting on your site, in your blog, it's rotting in your archives, and nobody will ever read it. So, again, that's the premise of why content repurposing is so important. And I'm so convinced of it at this point, after I've been repurposing for a while now, that content marketing without content repurposing will never work because you have to go where your audience is. So now in practical terms, what does it look like? Does it look like you take your blog post and you just republish it everywhere? A lot of people think that way, but it's not true at all. That's more or less content syndication. Still a good thing to do, but not content repurposing. Content repurposing means that you take the same content that you've created and you turn it into a different format. Like, for instance, Wes and I are talking right now. We are on Zoom, and we actually can see each other, right? Because it's much better to talk when you can see each other's face. But will your listeners ever see our faces? No, they won't. What if you, Wes, record this as a video as well as an audio? And then you can put it on YouTube for people who like to watch instead of just listen, right? And now you have two ways of delivering the same content for viewers who like to watch and for listeners who like to listen to it on the way from work, in their car, for instance, right? So that's the nature, that's the gist of content repurposing. Different formats to cater to different people and to publish it on platforms where those people are. And there you go.
So it just sounds so simple. I'll just write a little blog post and give it to my VA, and they'll do some magic audio and make slides. It's just so simple, right?
That'd be nice, huh? But you know what? It's not that complicated either, because first of all, so a lot of people, the first reaction is, where am I going to find the time to do all of this, right? And that's a great question. And the thing is that they think that content repurposing comes on top of everything else you're already doing. Well, the problem with that is that whatever you're already doing right now isn't working for you. So why do you keep doing it? Stop creating new content. Granted, that's one of the most time-consuming things most business owners do, because creating content takes research, takes good ideas, takes, putting those ideas into practice, then comes promotion. It's time-consuming. And it still doesn't work on top of everything else, right? So stop doing that and take your existing content that you've already created. You've done most of the work on that. Now you just need to squeeze it a little more and a little more and get everything that you can out of what you've already created, right? So don't create any new content. Go back to your existing blog posts. Or if you're a podcaster, go back to your existing podcasts and start creating transcripts and turn them into blog posts or turn them into videos or slideshare presentations. So you just basically, again, it's like screwing the screw to make sure it's nice and tight instead of going and buying a brand new cabinet because, the old one is still sitting there and it works great. You just need to fix it just a little bit.
So, all right. So let's say a lot of people probably don't have audio and video. They haven't done podcasts, but maybe they've got a 5 or 10-year-old blog with a lot of posts. Mm-hmm. Are you saying, what's a good way to freshen that up? Let's say they got a post from 2005. In technology changes a lot. So would it hurt a company? Like even with me, let's say I had a post, because I'm going through looking at my old stuff, and I have like an Infusionsoft update, a blog post that discusses the 2012 fall update. Mm. Does it hurt me to convert that to the 2017 update? Like do I benefit by having 9 years of Infusionsoft update blog posts, or does it not really matter? Because at the end of the day, it's the most current one that anybody really cares about. You know what I mean? Because on the one hand, having that body of work seems like there would be some benefit from a historical and just pure volume. Google would say, hey, that's all right. But conversely, people probably aren't checking the 2012 post because it just doesn't matter in 2017. So how do we juggle that?
Absolutely. And no, of course it doesn't hurt you to do that. It just makes no sense. Why would you want to do it, right? Why would you want to put your work into something that is not current? So the way you choose blog posts, there are 2 main ways that I want you to focus on. 2 main things. Number 1, whatever you choose, whatever content you choose, has to solve your prospect's problem. By problem, I don't mean like an actual problem, but whatever itch that is that they have that you're trying to scratch. It has to be current. It has to be now, right? So, for instance, if you think about it logically, what works best for repurposing is evergreen posts that continuously solve your prospect problems, right? I broke my nail. How do I glue it back together? I'll be breaking my nail for the next 10 years. The answer would still probably be the same. Put some whatever glue on it. Anyway, so evergreen solution to an evergreen problem is what you're looking for, right? That's number 1. That's very important to your prospect. Now, what is important to you as a business owner is the outcome. What is it that you want this repurposed content to do for your business? Don't repurpose anything. Actually, as a matter of fact, don't create any kind of content, not one piece Did I just say that out loud? I hope it did. Not one piece. See, that's the downside of being Russian. But it makes it for a fun lifestyle. My husband, for years, still laughs at me sometimes. Anyway, so don't ever create any one piece of content without knowing what it is going to do for your business, without having call to action, without bridging that gap between your content and what you want it to do for your business, right? As a matter of fact, I've become so stubborn these days, especially with some of my students. I'm in the process of creating content repurposing course. It's called Content Boomerang, and it's not open to new students, but I do have close to 100 pilot students that I've been taking through the process, because it's one thing to know that I can do it. It works for my business, but I need to prove to myself first and everybody else that it can work for anyone. So in that course right now, I have people who paint, authors, actors, people with travel agencies, Etsy shop owners, all kinds of styles of business. And so my point is, does it work for them as well? And this is the main problem that I see with them. They create content without having any clue why and what it is going to do for their business. No call to action whatsoever. They just spit it out. So now I tell them, first, you come up with your call to action. What do you want that content to do for you? Then you create content. I mean, that's how strict we have to be with ourselves. But it's true, because otherwise, what's the point of any of it, right? So again, your repurpose content, by the way, I say re-content because I talk about repurpose content so much, my tongue gets twisted, literally. So re-content, much more simple, fresh, and easy to say. So don't create any piece of re-content or content without number one, solving your target prospect's problem, and number two, having a call to action that actually moves that prospect to do something for your business. Make sense?
Yep. How much time and effort do you spend on SEO, like looking for keywords, long tail keywords to include in the title or in the body of the content?
I don't overly obsess over it. What I do know, it basically comes down to knowing who you're talking to, knowing who your audience is. And, things like that change. A lot of the stuff that you read online these days is about, coming up with that perfect persona and all of that. And I get it. And I understand it. But here's the truth. We as business owners have to wear too many hats for me to take a few days of my time and research that perfect persona that might change tomorrow because business changes too, right? So what I do for keyword research is, number one, constantly talking to my readers on social media, in the comment section. I keep my hand on the pulse of what's going on with them and what it is that their needs are, right? So that's number one. You have to know who you're talking to. Then, after you have an idea of what they want, you go and do very light keyword research. By light keyword research, I mean, there are a couple of things that I do. Number one, a free website. It's called answerthepublic.com. And that tool basically, it's like Google suggestion tool, right? When you type something in Google search bar and it gives you suggestions of, like auto-completing your query. So that's what Answer the Public does, just a lot more sophisticated. And they spit out a bunch of questions that your target audience might be asking right now about your niche. So that's perfect, because all I want to do is I want to confirm that the problem that I think exists actually exists. Is anybody searching for it? And then, there are plenty of tools. My favorite is SEMrush. It's a paid tool, but it's pretty dang awesome. I still do not, nobody has the time to delve into it unless you're an SEO or business owner of some sorts, right? But just like, if I'm writing a blog post about content repurposing, I'll just put in content repurposing, and I very quickly have a good idea of what it is that people's typing into the search bar when they're curious about content repurposing. So again, my keyword research probably takes me about 5 minutes. I just want to confirm that the problem that I think exists actually exists. That's all.
Right.
And from that point on, you just move on and focus on that audience that you are writing for, because in the end, they will be the one consuming your content, not Google. So write it for them, not for the search engines. Even though I'm totally contradicting myself right now, because I think you should write for both. But
yeah. Well, you kind of do. But, way back in the day, you could write like a robot and you would win. You'd get more traffic. But Google and this artificial intelligence, it's getting better at looking at the content, at the purpose, right, of the content versus just looking purely at keywords. I mean, it's an interesting time to be alive. And I think we're moving into the time where being a human, being a good person, maybe nice guys won't finish last, pretty soon as the algorithms get better and the technology gets better, just creating better content. So, I mean, how often are you creating something new, like truly new, versus going back 5 years and just refreshing something?
The moment of truth. Let's see. So we are into 2/3 of this year. I think I've published maybe 2 new posts the entire time. The rest of it is refreshing old posts and repurposing them. And that actually has been pretty amazing. I didn't even realize it until you just asked me, but it's true. 2 blog posts in 9 months. And yet my traffic is still up. Business is still booming. So, content repurposing must be really working. Go figure, right? But just goes to show that, things need to change in the way you do things. If you feel they're not working, there's a reason for that. So stop for a second and stop trying harder doing something that's not working, because it's like flipping a switch when the light bulb is burnt out. No matter how many times you flip it, it's still burnt. You need to replace that light bulb, right? So content repurposing could just be it for you.
Now, are you doing much paid traffic? Like if we were to look at just purely organic, how much would you say traffic has grown versus everything that you've done?
So because Traffic Generation Cafe, which is my main website, it focuses on free traffic generation. I, on purpose, never, ever, ever buy any traffic to drive to my site, because that would totally kill it, right? How can I be blog about free traffic generation if I'm paying for my own traffic? That wouldn't make any sense. So 100% of my traffic is absolutely free. Since I've started doing content repurposing, let's just take this here, right? My organic traffic that's coming to me through Google has almost doubled in just this year. And speaking of SEO, as it turns out, content repurposing is incredible for SEO. Because number one, obviously, you're building links. Every time you publish something on a third-party site, it comes with a link, or 2 or 3, depending on what it is. And links keep accumulating. what happens also is you get discovered by people who otherwise wouldn't have found you. Now, once they discover you on LinkedIn, let's say, or Medium or Facebook, they start quoting you and linking back to your website. So now you get links from referral websites, right? And it just keeps compounding. You don't have to do, I haven't done any link building at all. By link building, I mean doing something on purpose just to generate a link. Actually, I've never done it. I just do what I do. But with content repurposing, I've noticed it just naturally builds up your website authority through the links that are coming in, through you being recognized as an expert, because literally people see you everywhere you go. That's what I'm told all the time. I am all over the place. And that's thanks to content repurposing, not because, I do anything above and beyond that. So all of that has strengthened my main site SEO. And as a result, I'm getting a lot more organic traffic. And another thing, when you repurpose your content, when you take a piece of whatever it is that you published on your blog, you turn it, let's say, into a video, which, by the way, I just finished redoing a blog post that I did. I originally wrote about 4 years ago, and it's still evergreen because what I wrote about is turning a blog post into a video in about 5 minutes. And yes, you can laugh all you want to, but it's possible. I've got the perfect trick that is absolutely in plain sight, yet nobody knows about it. And it just uses your blog post, Microsoft Word, and PowerPoint. That's it. And it takes a few minutes to go from A to B to C. Very easy. So I just refresh that, right? And when I do that, when I use that method to turn something into a video, and a side note, I take more than 5 minutes for my work because I like for it to be exceptional. So I'd rather do fewer pieces of content, but they have to be just amazingly awesome content that I would be recognized for. That's my goal, right? But you can't literally take 5 minutes and just, get it done. So that's evergreen piece of content that solves a problem. And when I publish something like that on, let's say, YouTube, obviously YouTube has a lot more domain authority than Traffic Generation Cafe. So even if my original blog post has no chance to rank for that keyword that I targeted in my blog post, if I target the same keyword with a YouTube video, chances are it will actually rank. It will rank on YouTube and could possibly rank on Google. And see what's happening. It's my content. Yes, granted, it's hosted on a third-party platform, but if it drives traffic, do you care? If it drives results, do you really care who's hosting it and where it lives? People say that all the time, and they're so dead wrong. Yes, publish your best content elsewhere because that's where it's going to be found, and that's how it will bring traffic back to your site. Again, through that awesomely strong call of action that you include in everything you create, right? So, again, I'm getting a lot of organic traffic through those websites. And then through my calls to action, it channels back to my website. So it's like with content repurposing, it's really like you create this huge net that nobody can escape because you're getting links, you're getting traffic. You're working less because you're creating less content. You are just repurposing it more. And as a result, your business grows. I mean, I know it sounds like, oh, it's so simple. And of course it isn't, but it actually works. So take that, take your content marketing that doesn't work because it rots in your archives, or take something like content repurposing that does all of the things that you wish you had now. So Anyway, I get a little bit excited about this.
So would you take a blog post from January 1st, freshen it up, and just republish it, today, September 14th, so it appears to be new? Or do you just keep the same older date, but just freshen it up?
Right. Good question. So it really depends on how much you are of the post you're changing. If you're taking Infusionsoft 2012 review, you probably should just write a fresh one for 2017. It doesn't make sense you'll end up rewriting the whole thing anyway, right? So just write it fresh. If you need to just update a few facts, current stats or current links to current resources, then yes, just update the blog post, leave it with the original date. And what I strongly suggest you do is when you go to Traffic Generation Cafe, the date that you see is the last updated date, not when it was published, but when I actually updated the post. So it doesn't really matter when it was originally published, as long as it's still current information. And anyone who is looking at the last updated date will know exactly when I updated that blog post. So that's a lot more important than the published original date.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Your content.
So do you get a ding for duplicate content? Like if you take a blog post and share it on Medium or share it on Quora or share it on LinkedIn, or do you change it before you share on those?
So this is kind of an awesome question. It makes me laugh every time. So in March, I was a speaker at Social Media Marketing World, and I spoke about content repurposing there. So at the end of my section, that's exactly the question I get. What about duplicate content penalty? And after I go through my answer, the guy leaves me feedback at the end of the session, kind of private feedback, and he says, whatever she said about duplicate content, I don't believe her. It was laughable. It was really hilarious. But anyway, there's no such thing as duplicate content penalty. Nobody's penalizing you. Google has told us again and again and again, there's no such thing. Problem is that everybody thinks that Google is trying to trick us. And there is such a thing. They're just saying that there is no such a thing. But people just don't understand what is happening and why some think there is a duplicate content penalty. So what Google does is when they look at two pieces of content that are exactly same and they're published on different websites or within your website, that happens a lot too. And they say, okay, so there are two pieces of content. They're exactly the same. We're not going to rank both of them in our search results. That doesn't make sense. So I, Google, am going to pick the one that I think is the original one, and I'm going to rank that. And I'm going to omit the other one. That's not a penalty. That's just common sense. They just do not rank both of them. They take only one. Now, most of the times, they try to find the original piece of content. So if the original one is published on your blog post, on your blog, right? And then you republish it, say 2 weeks later, 2 months later on LinkedIn, Google will try to find the one that's originally published and rank that one. However, the thing about that is that LinkedIn, most likely, as most websites, has a lot more authority than your website does. So even if your website is original publisher, Google might rank LinkedIn first because it has more authority. But you know what? It's a good thing. Because if you think about it logically, and I already said that, your site might not have enough authority of its own to be on page 1 for that search. But LinkedIn does have that domain authority, and you might be able to make it on page 1 through LinkedIn, and then a call to action back to your website, right? Always comes down to that. Or Nothing. So when people tell me, well, don't you want your website to rank? I do, but it's just ain't gonna happen. What can I tell you? So would you rather have no rankings, or would you rather have rankings through that third-party website that still brings traffic back to you? It's nothing or some. I always take some over nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's awesome. Should people try to do this on their own, or should they, like writing comes easy to me. So should I just create the written word and hand it off to someone else, or, to make slides or whatever, or should I figure this out on my own and make all the other content maybe so it stays fluid or seamless, with my voice?
Right. Oh, Wes, you're so good with questions. No wonder you're so good at podcasting. Of course, this is one of those questions where one size does not fit all. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're a solopreneur like me, and the quality of everything you put out is paramount, then I strongly suggest you do it yourself. Even in the beginning, so that you know exactly how to do it, how to get there, and what you can expect from your virtual assistant should you want to give it over in the future. But first, you kind of know how to do it so that when you look at their work, you know exactly that they completely messed up those links because, for instance, SlideShare doesn't allow live links on the first 3 pages of your presentation. You have to know that, and your VA most likely won't know that. So things like that are really crucially important, it makes sense for you to at least know the process and create the process so that others can do it correctly for you. Now, if you are, a busy business owner that really content marketing is just a means to an end for you, you're not in content marketing per se, you're just trying to market your business like that, then it might make sense for you not to have to learn all of that from scratch if you have good help. If you know that they can do a good job for you, then go ahead and outsource it. But again, my personal preference is, as a business owner, I have to know the process first so that I know it's done correctly. So that's one of the reasons I created my course, because as I'm creating that content repurposing course, I am trying to create that process so that somebody can take the process, and it's basically like one gigantic continuous checklist. And you just go, it's like a pilot in a plane. You go check, 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 check. But you still have to go to school to know to check that off, right? So again, just do what makes sense. But I'd rather you not put out anything there that ends up marring your business in some ways and ends up damaging your business because somebody made a stupid mistake and, it reflects on you. So again, up to you as individual business owner to figure out where it is that you want to put your time into.
Right. So we've mentioned trafficgenerationcafe.com. We've mentioned contentboomerang.training. So we're linking to both of those. Awesome. So we've got links to SEMrush. We've got links to Answer the Public.
Answer the question.
Answer the question?
Answer the public.
Yeah, answerthepublic.com.
Yeah, we got it. I just wanted to you got it.
So, all right, what is one final little nugget, one little resource, a website or a tool you can give our listeners that they should be doing that they don't know about?
Like anything?
Anything.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, all right.
I love Amazon Prime. It just made my business. I get
Do you use that for repurposing?
No, I get it. I use it to get my toilet paper, so I don't have to go to the grocery store. And I can be repurposing something instead. But you know what? I was just thinking about this today. There's a little nifty tool that's called Text Expander. Text Expander. What it does is it's pretty dang awesome. It basically, instead of typing things, like for instance, I'll give you an example. I talk about content repurposing. I write about content repurposing. Try to type out content repurposing 10 times, 20 times within a blog post. It gets tedious. So what Text Expander does is I tell it, I'm going to abbreviate content repurposing CR. Every time I type CR, it expands it to content repurposing. It's awesome. So every time I write a blog post, whatever it is about, Google Analytics, I just tap it into Text Expander and say, every time I type GA, it means Google Analytics. You finish the phrase. Every time I mention Traffic Hacks, which is my free email series, I call it, it's like 5 to 8 different words put together. I'm not going to type it out. I'm just going to abbreviate it. Text Expander expands it. I expand my name. Instead of typing Ana Hoffman, I just type A and space, and it knows that that's what I mean. Anyway, so it's a great little tool. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I've had that for years. I use it on my iPhone as well. It's good stuff. Are there any special sites for sharing? Like we mentioned, like Medium. We mentioned, LinkedIn or SlideShare. Is there something like that people don't really know about or they overlook?
SlideShare is one of those things. So much so is that it's sort of like somebody called a sleeping giant of content marketing. I love SlideShare. I drive so much traffic through it. And the good thing is that SlideShare, when you publish something on SlideShare, basically you can repurpose that so easily into images, into video. That's basically kind of the centerpiece of my entire content repurposing process. And which is so cool, social media marketing world just called me back to speak at the next one. And what they want me to talk about, exactly that, SlideShare, so that I can tell people how awesome it is and how much they're missing out on all the traffic that can be driving. So SlideShare would be one of those sites.
So do you start there?
Yes.
Okay.
My first piece of repurposed content is always a slide deck that is published to SlideShare.
So, okay, but do you start as a blog and then SlideShare is your first stop after the blog? Right.
So
okay.
Initially, I'm a writer like you, that's my primary way of communicating is blog posts. So then I take a blog post, I cut it down into an outline, just, bare bones, because when people see your content elsewhere, it's like you're creating a checklist, a bullet point list. It's short, it's sweet, it does the job. That's what SlideShare is. You just want it short and sweet. And that's what most of my videos are as well. Nobody wants to, have a 2,000 word blog post to watch as a video. That would take a long time to watch. So just cut it down, everything. Remember, your main point is not to fluff it up, but to sell yourself, to become a trusted source and trusted expert, and to bring those people back to your side. So use as few words as possible in everything you do to accomplish that goal.
So can you make the slide right within SlideShare, or are you making it in PowerPoint or Keynote and then uploading it?
PowerPoint or Keynote. Keynote is actually my favorite because it has fewer options than PowerPoint. I'm a big fan of fewer options. Little side story, when I first moved to the United States, I was 21, and I moved from Russia. And in Russia, it's very much like, imagine any European town where you go to the butcher to buy your meat, you go to, a vegetable store for your, vegetables, fruits, and whatnot. That's very much how they like to do it in Europe still. And that's how I grew up in Russia. There's a specialized store for everything. So I went to a supermarket and I went hungry for about a week because every time I'd go there, I would be so overwhelmed. In Russia, we used to have one type of butter. You just buy butter because it's butter, right? Here you go and you have like 20 different kinds of butter. So honestly, I would get so overwhelmed and leave and not buy anything. So, point being, fewer options.
Take me shopping with you.
Yeah, well, even now I'm still I know what I need. I need to get in and out. I'm actually pretty good at that. I'm all about efficiency and processes so that at the end of the day, I have the time to kick my feet up, get that awesome glass of wine, and watch a silly superhero show with my 10-year-old girl,
Right.
That's what it's all about, right? So process. Hone it in your checklists. Create checklists if you don't have them, because in the end, that's what will help you be efficient, get more done quicker, and then have time for life.
Yeah, I'm logged in here now. You've got, you got posts going back 4 years or more on SlideShare. So very cool. I have to catch up to you now.
You betcha. And, I am repurposing all of that too. And I'm updating all of that too, because a lot of those things are actually ranking on Google. SlideShare, presentations, documents, rank on Google. So you have to keep it updated. So a lot of my time goes to that, to things that are already working. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just keep updating things that are working currently.
Right. So can you update a SlideShare? Can you just upload right on top of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the beauty of SlideShare. I so wish YouTube would let you do that, right? But yes, SlideShare will allow you to re-upload a new version of the same SlideShare. Actually, it can be completely different, but you get to keep the URL, all the views, all the shares, everything. So yes, you can update it anytime. I love it for that.
Do you use pictures in your blog posts? Because a couple of times I gave a TEDx talk. I gave a talk on SEO at Entrepalooza a couple years ago. And I created a very long blog post. Okay. And I brought images in and everything to kind of force me to clarify my thinking. Right. And then I actually gave my talk ahead of time as a private webinar to people. So I could do a dry run, right, a couple of times. And then of course I had to make it into a presentation when I gave the actual live talk, so do you make a blog post that intricate with all the images, or do you have a written post, mostly words, and then go find the images to throw it up on SlideShare? You know what I mean? Right.
So yes and yes, no and no. So first of all, images are hugely important. I didn't realize how important they are because I could care less if something has a picture or not. I just need the information. But most people are not like me. Go figure, right? I'm very special that way. They learn better.
The very goal-focused Russian in you.
I'm very bullet points. I'm serious. Give me 5 bullet points and let me go and get it done. I don't want to read fluff. I don't want to listen to fluff. That's why I don't do videos, or I don't listen to videos or podcasts, because it's just, too much talk, I just need to get it done. Anyway, but images are very, very important. So whenever I create a blog post, now that I content repurpose everything, I re-content everything. As I create a blog post in my head, I already create it in such a way that it's ready to be repurposed. I write it with a theme, an image theme of some sort in mind, right? So, for instance, my latest blog post is what else? Content repurposing, right? But it's all about, it's educating people about content repurposing, right? And my idea for that blog post from the beginning was to get some quotes from some bigwigs. Actually, it's kind of cool. I got a little disagreement going on between Chris Brogan and some other folks. It turned out to be a lot of fun because I totally milked Chris Brogan for all his worth in that blog post. He's such a sweet guy. He let me do it all. But anyway, so that was the theme, the quotes, but the quotes is not really a theme. So then I decided, because content repurposing is all about showing people, not telling them, because in a blog post, we're telling them in words what it is that we're trying to teach them, right? But content repurposing is more about showing them. So all of a sudden, okay, show, not tell, mimes. I came up with mimes, and that was my theme for all the presentation, the video, everything else that came out of that. So now every time I create something, I have that visual thinking going on. And, it might sound complicated, but it is not, because once you try it once or twice, you kind of get it. Oh, yes. And now this whole thing just comes in mind. It's so simple. It's so easy and so natural that content repurposing has become like second nature. It's not something I do in addition to. It's one thing. Actually, Jay Baer gave me an awesome quote. That guy is so awesome at just coming up with stuff. I don't know how he does it, but he said, I don't have it in front of me, but he said that whatever content you create, the first piece of content you create, it's not the content. It's just the beginning of it. Meaning that whatever you create first, it's only the beginning. Then Jay is really very good at repurposing. He does it with everything. He's just like me. I'm just better looking, I think. Sorry, Jay. Yes.
I'm going to have to agree on that one.
There you go. See, I'm sure he would too. But anyway, it just becomes second nature. And that's a good thing because, again, that's when efficiency comes in.
Right. Very cool. All right. Ana Hoffman. So are you still a Raiders fan now that they moved?
They haven't yet.
All right.
I'm hoping they are on the way to the Super Bowl this year. They're looking pretty good. We'll see.
Are you going to be a fan when they move?
I don't know. We've moved around so much that it's really very hard for me to be loyal to any one team because I love the Cardinals because we lived in Arizona for a while. Even though they suck, I still love them. I love the Chiefs because of Alex Smith, because he was ditched by the 49ers, which I never forgave them for. And now he's feeling it with the Chiefs. So he's my sweet spot, and I really love Kansas City this year. So anyway, I just go with people who have the heart to play the game, not with the location.
So when Russia plays the U.S. in the Olympics, who do you pull for?
Ooh, depends. Gymnastics, definitely Russia. Even though, I love American girls, but Russia is, has my heart.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, other than that, I'm not affiliated with any one country. I just root for the talent.
So what food do you miss?
Food. I just miss the natural stuff. We don't use any spices. We use salt and pepper because it just naturally brings out the best in everything fresh. I miss that. It's a little hard here. There's just too much processed food and too much this and too much that. So I miss that.
What are Russians missing out on in American food?
Absolutely nothing.
No?
They have too much junk now. Russia used
But there's something like if you could ship one piece of food back home that they haven't heard about, like an In-N-Out burger. I mean, something.
You know what I ship to them by boatloads is number one, maple syrup.
That's not American though, is it?
Maple syrup? Are you kidding me?
That's Canadian.
Oh, whatever.
Okay, it's North American. We'll take it.
And you know what they love? Like who makes it? Chocolate. Anyway, the chocolate that you squeeze out of a bottle on ice cream, it makes the hard shell.
Oh, like the Hershey's chocolate?
Yes. Love that stuff. They love that stuff. Totally useless, but the fact that it just makes that hard shell fascinates them, and I can't stand enough of it. But
nice. All right, very nice. Ana Hoffman, all the way from Oakland. Y'all go visit her sites, trafficgenerationcafe.com and contentboomerang.training. Thanks for coming on the Sales Podcast. It's been awesome.
You are my new favorite podcaster.
All right. I'm gonna quote you on that. I'm gonna repurpose it.
Go.
I'm gonna take that screenshot. So all right, you may want to put your arm down because I'm gonna use the video. Say, Wes, you're my new favorite podcaster.
Absolutely.
Oh, you gotta say it now because I'm gonna grab that screen.
Okay. Wes, you're my absolutely number one favorite podcaster of all time.
Yes. Woo! That's a wrap. So we had a little fun there, and I did immediately take the video and post it on my Facebook wall and tag Ana. And I will be using that. And I will use the audio later on as well in many different ways. I will repurpose this interview. That's what I'm going to do. I practice what I preach. I hope you got a lot out of that. She gave us some really good tips and advice. And like I mentioned, I have, although I've written more than 2 unique blog posts, I have spent a lot of time this year simply updating and republishing older posts. And I asked her the question, should you just update or should you update and republish with a new current date? I think the jury's still out on that to a degree. I have some evergreen stuff, around sales and prospecting and negotiation and handling the price objection. Those things are evergreen. So I'm fired up to go in and start making new content, slide share and things like that, and posting those blog posts on LinkedIn. So I'm looking forward to the next 6, 12, 24 months, following this process, because it is hard to create good new content all the time. And I know most of my clients struggle with this. The overwhelming majority are not good writers. They think they're not. Anybody can learn to write, but they're not motivated to do it. They don't think they can do it, so they won't, and they don't. So being able to go back in time, find some things, reuse, it's a powerful benefit I think we can all benefit from. So go do that. All right. If you would like some encouragement for a lifetime with a 1-year money-back guarantee, if you'd like to bounce some ideas off of me in our private group every single day if you wanted to, and then we have live calls 2 to 3, sometimes 4 times a month. As long as I'm not traveling, you do them right now. We're doing them on Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, and pretty much they're every week. But I'm traveling to my college reunion, my 25th Air Force Academy reunion. So I'm going to miss next week. But hey, it's all good. But like I said, I do have sometimes other members will lead the call or just do an open Q&A, and everybody helps each other. So it's a good group. Like I said, lifetime access. Head on over to makeeverysale.com. Join us now, or go to thesaleswhisperer.com. Go to the Contact Us page, and let's set a 15-minute time to talk and see if this is right for you. All right. Thanks for listening. Please leave a 5-star review. And as always, please go sell something.